Hello there, my name is Richie and I'm the founder of Okia Surfing. And then this is one of the most important classes you'll ever receive in surfing. Weight distribution is the backbone of the sport because speed and power are byproduct of weight distribution. Because speed and power can only be created with rail engagement. This is a class that is meant to be for every single level of surfer from beginner to CT level. That's why weight distribution is a fundamental concept because like its concepts help every single level and across the board. That's just one of the reasons. And this is how I know for certain that surfing is a front footed sport. Why am I making this? Because most of the people, like 98% of surfers in the world, believe that surfing is a back footed sport, right? Back footed means everybody thinks that they should carve with their back foot or like they should kick the lip with the back foot. They should extend with the back foot. They should compress with extending the back foot. Everything is back foot in the sport. 98% of the surfers in the world believe this, including CT surfers. And I'm going to show you how this concept can only help beginner surfers, intermediate surfers, and CT surfers at the same time, but then how they are all wrong. I wish this was just my opinion, but this is just how surfing is. After 10 years of coaching competitive surfers, this is one of the most important classes I've ever given. So this is the first thing that you need to understand. This is not a theory, neither an opinion, and this is just how surfing is. The future of the sport lies in my hands. This is what is going to evolve the sport of surfing. This concept will evolve the sport of surfing and change surfing forever. The reason why is because it's a fundamental concept that is misunderstood and then believed to be the opposite of what's correct. And if it's a fundamental concept means that it is the backbone of the sport. And if it's completely misunderstood, then everybody's progression is capped. After understanding this concept, everybody should be able to get into black belt surfing, meaning everybody should be able to get to the highest level possible. That is possible in every other sport. Jiu-jitsu, you can be the best jiu-jitsu guy, and then reach black belt. In surfing, everybody is capped at certain point. Everybody just stop progressing. No matter if you surf for 10, 15 years, you just stop getting good. Most surfers hate watching videos of themselves, and then it is because like they don't know how to engage the rails, they don't know how to create their own speed, so it's like this is just gonna evolve the sport. If this is the backbone and the heart, then this is just gonna change the whole game. This is how I use biomechanics to know that surfing is a front-footed sport. I'm a biomechanics professor, and then I have been studying biomechanics for over 10 years and applying it to professional surfers, competitive surfers, beginner surfers, surfers of all levels. And then this is what concept like weight distribution could do across the board, just help everybody. And then like I'm gonna explain to you what are the cues or the signals in this series of videos that allow me to know for certain that surfing is a front-footed sport, and everybody that believes the opposite is in the wrong. So the currency in surfing is speed, power, and flow. This is the WSL judging criteria. I took this from the World Surfing League page. Speed, power, and flow. It is the most important thing in surfing. So for people that think that surfing is not something that can be judged, you're massively wrong. And the reason is because you can measure speed, and then speed and power are completely related because the faster you go, the more powerful your turns are. So if you can measure speed, then that means that you can measure a surfer against another surfer. And then whoever's going faster, that's the better surfer. Whoever has more speed has more currency. Speed, power, and flow are currency in the sport. And they're all a byproduct of rail engagement. And rail engagement, you can only sink your whole rail on the wave if you put your weight forward. That's the only way to sink the front end of the board and use the whole rail to generate that speed. Contrary to driving cars, if you're driving a car, you are trying to like slow down on the turns. In surfing, you generate speed when you're rotating. That is the difference. When you're surfing, you're generating speed while you're changing direction. Contrary to like a racetrack where you're accelerating when you're going straight. In surfing, you're trying to accelerate the whole time. You're trying to generate speed on rotation while going straight. You're trying to go as fast as possible. The surfer that is going faster is the surfer that can surf better. basically, and that goes for a beginner surfer or as a CT surfer. You can actually measure surfing success because you can measure speed. You've been measuring speed on your car your whole life. That's how you measure success in surfing. That's Speed is a currency in surfing, and the more speed you have, the better. And if it's a byproduct of rail engagement, that means that weight distribution, it is the most important fundamental concept and the backbone of surfing. This is how I know surfing is a front footed sport for analyzing the biomechanics of every single posture professional surfers take and reading weight distribution cues in real time. So, these series of videos are meant to be all the cues that help me understand where the weight is. So, the posture of a body helps me understand where the weight is. Basically, that's how it is. So, you measure postures through the trajectory of a surfer's path. And then, what's found is that professional surfers on their apex moments when they're doing everything right, when they're connected, they're always on their front foot, not on the back foot. Basically, they have concentration of weight forward. When everything is going correctly, that's where the weight is, and that's what measuring postures allowed me to understand. But it's gonna be cue by cue, step by step. This series of videos are gonna show you why surfing is a front-footed sport, and then yeah, just if you watch the whole series, you're gonna be able to understand it really clearly and not have any doubt, and that's just gonna help you in the water. Stop practicing muscle memory, stop doing skating, stop doing all this stuff, because like all of the movements of land need to be based on a fundamental concept. Before you start creating muscle memory, you need to understand the sport. So this is the cue number one: rail engagement versus no rail engagement. Rail engagement is the biggest way to tell if a surfer has the weight on the back foot or on the front foot. The only way to sink the front end of the board is through pressing forward. It's very simple, yet many people don't understand that rail engagement is currency in surfing. And people often think that speed comes from having good fins, large fins on your surfboard, and this is partially true, but the rail of a professional surfer is always engaged in the wave phase, and they go 10 times faster than anyone on a wave. So the reason why professional surfers go faster on apex moments is because they use rail engagement, and then people that are not surfing as well, they're pivoting off the back foot. You can clearly see it on this video, the difference. You can see the surfer on the left of your screen. That surfer has the weight, they have the weight on the back foot through the same motion of the other surfer. It's very clear in here that the surfer on the right, Kaileni, has the rail fully engaged on the water. That means that they're accelerating through rotation, and then the other surfer is accelerating through rotation. So this is the big news: you can actually turn with your weight on the back foot. Yes, you can do it. Is that the correct way to do it? No, because that's slowing you down through turns, and then that's capping your progress. If you believe that's how things are, you need to accelerate through rotation and then use your rails. If you're not using your rails, you're not doing the sport of surfing correctly. You are surfacing on top of the water, but you're slowing down, and if you're slowing down, then you're not surfing correctly. You need to use your rails to turn to be able to generate speed. If you don't want to go fast on a wave, then I get it. You just want to have fun, go slow on a wave. But then if you want to be judged and then measured against other surfers, then you're going to be measured on speed terms. And then if you want to improve, then you need to improve those metrics basically. And then in here you can see both surfers have like very similar postures. She has her arm locked back, which is something that a lot of coaches teach, but then she's pressing off her back foot. At the same time, the other surfer is pressing on his front foot and generating speed. So there's a lot of high performance coaches, quote unquote, a lot of high performance coaches, a lot of professional surfers that they don't completely understand what they're doing on a wave, and they're explaining, oh, like, yeah, that wave that I posted a 9, I used my back foot to have power in it. Professional surfers surf with the weight on the front foot, and they think that they surf with the weight on the back foot, and that is a dissonance in between subconscious behavior and conscious behavior. If you understand this, then you'll basically understand the whole game. What I'm about to explain to you is a very high level concept, and if you understand this, then you can get as good as you want. Basically, there's two parts of the brain: there's the prefrontal cortex and then um there is here the subconscious mind. So your brain is basically divided in two places. This is 95% of the brain. Basically, this is where subconscious behavior goes. And then this is 5% of the brain, right? This is just 5% of the brain. So conscious behavior versus subconscious behavior. Imagine that we're driving on a car, we're going on a car somewhere, basically, and then I am driving the car and I'm having a conversation with you while I'm driving the car, and then when I reach the spot, when I reach the place, when I get there, like I'm not gonna remember the whole road, but I'm gonna remember the conversation. Is because this part is the one that is driving the car, and then this one is the one that is having the conversation, basically. So like there's in life a lot of dissonance in between what we do and what we understand we do, and this outlines it perfectly. So like a person can think that they're coming across as someone really kind, but for some people they might come across like an asshole. So there's a dissonance in between what they do and what they think they do. What they do comes from the subconscious mind, what they think they do comes from this interpretation that you're trying to give. So like professional surfers say, the surf, yeah, I surf with my back foot, but they haven't understand the whole thing clearly. And they just saying this because this is what everybody says. If you see the series of videos, if you commit to seeing this series of videos, then you'll understand how this can help like a CT surfer, an intermediate surfer, and as someone that's just starting to learn, because this is a fundamental concept and these are the cues that help me understand this concept to a deeper level, right? So this is what happens with the subconscious and conscious mind. Basically, that's why professional surfers think that they are doing something on their back foot, because yeah, for them that's the interpretation that they give to that, basically. So you can see here the surfers. The surfer on the left has basically the rail disengaged all the way up, and the surfer on the right has the rail engaged all the way up. So that is why the surfer on the right has more speed, and then the surfer on the left has not speed. Basically, they just slow down through the turn. This happens in every single situation. Now, these two surfers are doing the same exact thing, the same exact arms, the same exact looking in the same direction, but one has the rail engage and the other one has no rail engage. Rail engagement is one of the biggest measurements of weight distribution. If the rail is engaged, then I'm traveling really fast. And if the rail is in disengage, it's telling me a lot about the weight distribution of a surfer. This one has twice as much spray. They're all looking in the same direction. So like this is two similar situations, two different things. The only thing that's happened differently here is the the choice of weight. Same in here, similar postures. This surfer on the left is doing everything right. They have the arms open up, it's looking back a little bit, and then but yet the rail is not engaged. The other surfer is looking back, they have the rail engaged. The rail engaged helps you turn on a tighter ratio also. You're not gonna be able to do a super tight turn if you don't have the rail engaged. The surfboard is basically shaped like a banana, and that helps you with rotation. That's what drives your turns. So it's not just the fin, but the whole rail's on the water the whole time. So rail engagement is one of the biggest measurements of success, which is only done through weight distribution forward. There's other ways to measure this posture, like for example, the hips are forward. It's impossible to have your weight on the back foot if the hips are forward. So this is the thing. Professional surfers have not taken the time to measure this, and they're trying to compete to go faster than the other surfer. The weight's on the back, the weight's on the back. There's no like scientific backup to that. There's no demonstration through postures. There's nothing. It's just like a myth that's going around. So why is rail engagement currency? Because speed is currency in surfing. Remember, speed, power, and flow are all created through rail engagement, and rail engagement is created through weight distribution. Weight distribution is currency in surfing. The magic equations in surfing are speed and power equals rail engagement. That's correct, because the more rail you have, the faster you go and the more powerful your turns are. The faster you go, the more powerful you're able to be. Rail engagement equals way forward, which is the only way to sink the front end of the board. And then weight forward is equals speed and power. This is the thing. Weight forward is the currency then. So like the person that knows how to use their weight better is the person that knows how to turn more fast, knows how to turn on a tighter ratio because the rail helps you turn a tighter ratio, like gives you more speed. So like weight, the more weight you have forward, the better. Like the thing is that cooks cannot put the weight forward because the first thing is that a lot of like intermediate surfers cannot press forward on the board because their feet are not in the right place to begin with. So how how a person that cannot even move their feet on the shortboard tell you where the weight distribution is? Of course it's going to be on the back if their front foot's all the way up to the nose because that's the only way that they can turn, but that's going to be slowing down. So like there's one important thing in here, like these surfers, the upper body is disconnected from the lower body in this scenario. The upper body is doing the same thing, but the lower body is doing completely different thing. You need to sync both in the same thing. You not only need to look up the lip, but you need to synchronize your weight distribution with that. You cannot just like expect that an upper body rotation is gonna do the whole magic on underneath. Basically, oh, where you look is where you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where you look is where you go. But are you gonna go there fast or are you gonna go there slow? You can either do the pivot of the front or the back, or from the back foot. This is one of the reasons why weight distribution is such a fundamental in surfing, because without it there's no real engagement, and without real engagement there's no speed, there's no power, which are currency in the sport of surfing. The faster you go, the better you are at surfing. So like I'm going to teach you a really cool concept that is completely related with weight distribution, and it can either help an intermediate surfer, beginner surfer, a professional surfer on tour. That's why this is a fundamental concept, because it helps everybody across the board. Positive pivot turn versus negative pivot turn. Rail engagement versus no rail engagement. A positive pivot turn is a turn where we create speed power through rail engagement. So it's a turn that we accelerate through. And a negative pivot turn is a turn where we slow down as we turn. The thing is that we can turn and slow down at the same time, and the majority of the surfers in the world don't know the difference, right? They don't know the difference. They just think, oh, how do you rotate in surfing? Oh, you rotate through just looking in that direction. Yes, it's true. That's how you make your board go a specific direction, but also like speed is the currency again. So like knowing how to go up and down, like it's one thing, but knowing how to go up and down and fast, that's another thing. So like a positive pivot turn is the turn here that Andy Irons is doing, and a negative pivot turn is a turn on the back foot. So you pivot on the back foot and you're going slower because there's no rail engagement, and then like you're not surfing good basically, because speed is the currency and that's what you're getting measured on basically. Like that's why I think that surfers on tour, they should they should have some sort of device that measures their speed, and then that will be more of an accurate way of deciding which surfer is doing better, like how fast you go. This is just easy to see on the eye too, but then like you can actually measure success in surfing because you can measure speed. The most common mistake is to think that just because we can turn with the back foot, that is the only way to do it. It's completely possible to turn off the back foot, but this looks, feels, and create a completely different outcome than having to turn with the whole rail engaged. The only way to sink your rail in surfing is through weight distribution forward. That is the only way. Looking in the direction you want to go is not going to sink your rail. You can see it here. Like turning and twisting your body correctly is not going to sink your rail. You can see it in here. There's two massive differences in here. Doing wheelie while you're going up the wave face is not ideal. You can turn off your back foot if you want to turn and be slow at the same time. Being able to turn with the back foot doesn't mean that is the correct way to do it. So this is the first cue out of the whole series that shows me that surfing is a front-footed sport. If you get this concept, then you're gonna get to a really high level. It doesn't matter who you are, this concept's gonna help you. If you're on tour, then this is something that you need to understand, because if you've been led to believe that surfing is a back-footed sport, then this is the thing, you're disconnected from what you're actually doing, and this series will help you understand that better.